Hello friends, myself Dr. Nandakumar Ravale from College of Engineering Ambazogai is going to deal with Applied Thermodynamics 1. This is our 19th lecture. In previous lecture we have studied about Rankine cycle using superheated steam to find out efficiency of Rankine cycle in terms of latent heat of vaporization and temperature. So we discussed in previous class. So at the same time, we discussed about modified Rankine cycle in the previous lecture. Today, we will be discussing about temperature entropy diagram. What is the use of temperature entropy diagram and how to find out properties of steam on the temperature entropy diagram. And next, we will discuss about enthalpy entropy diagram. What is use of enthalpy entropy diagram, that is known as Mollier chart. And we will be looking at the introduction to reheat cycle and regenerative cycle, and one type of reheat cycle, that is direct contact heating cycle, that is we call it as a reheat cycle. So coming to first, temperature entropy diagram, we generally call this as TS diagram. So what this TS diagram is going to contain, and what are the things which we can study from TS diagram. On y-axis, temperature is represented in degree Celsius. Temperature T is represented in degree Celsius on y-axis, whereas on x-axis specific entropy is given. Specific entropy is given in terms of, in some of the diagrams, in kilojoules per kg Kelvin. Specific entropy is given on x-axis. On this TS diagram, all horizontal lines represent constant temperature lines. So these horizontal lines are representing constant temperature lines. So all horizontal lines on this graph are going to represent constant temperature lines, and all vertical lines on this graph are representing constant entropy lines. Vertical lines represent constant entropy lines, whereas horizontal line represent constant temperature line. Now we'll see to this bell-shaped curve, a blue color bell-shaped curve. So this curve from origin to the top of this bell, this part of curve is known as a saturated liquid line. Saturated liquid line in the sense the liquid absorbs the amount of sensible heat and it is ready to evaporate. So it is saturated, and further addition of heat at that particular pressure makes that liquid to evaporate. Say for example water. So if we consider this point as a condition of water, so at this point for a particular pressure, steam, this water is saturated, and further supply of heat starts to convert this water into wet steam, and finally when it reaches the end, this becomes dry saturated steam. So in between, if we study the condition of this substance, that is working substance, as water, it will be wet steam. So from saturated liquid to the saturated steam, dry saturated steam, in between this absorbs latent heat of vaporization, we represent it by HFG, and gradually this liquid water, by absorbing latent heat of vaporization, gets converted into steam, and when it reaches to this condition at last point, by absorbing complete latent heat at this given pressure P, it becomes dry saturated steam. So from top of this bell, this curve represented, blue curve represented, is known as dry saturated steam curve. This curve is known as a dry saturated curve. So the value of x on saturated liquid line is 0. Dryness fraction on this saturated liquid curve is 0, whereas the value of dryness fraction x is equal to 1 on this dry saturated steam line or curve. So latent heat of vaporization is distance between the saturated liquid curve to the saturated steam or dry saturated steam. With increase in the pressure, if we increase pressure over the steam, so this latent heat of vaporization starts to reduce. So less amount of heat is required to convert that liquid, saturated liquid, into steam, dry saturated steam. So with increase in the pressure, this latent heat of vaporization HFG is going to decrease. So with at a lower pressure, latent heat of vaporization is going to increase. So what we studied is first horizontal line, second vertical line, third we have studied this saturated liquid curve, and fourth we studied about dry saturated steam curve. And the distance between saturated liquid to the dry saturated steam curve is known as latent heat of vaporization. So in this region, the pressure remains constant along this line. So in this bell-shaped curve, the horizontal line represents constant temperature line, as well as temperature is constant and pressure is also constant. Constant temperature and constant pressure line is represented by horizontal line only in this curve, only from saturated liquid curve to the dry saturated liquid curve. So both temperature and pressure remain constant. Now beyond this, the constant pressure line gets deviated. So constant pressure line is represented by curve. So this curve is represented here. After this, constant pressure line starts to move in the upward direction, whereas constant temperature line remains horizontal only. So all these lines which are shown with the rising trend are known as constant pressure lines. So these are nothing but constant pressure lines. So for example, this is 1 megapascal line. So 1 megapascal is pressure. So this 1 megapascal line, up to this it remains horizontal from saturated liquid to the dry saturated steam, it remains horizontal. But after crossing this dry saturated steam line, this curve takes this vertical path or ascending path, and 1 megapascal curve or pressure line is shown here with the rising trend, whereas temperature line continues to be horizontal even after this dry saturated steam curve. So this is how this constant pressure line is shown between saturated liquid curve and dry saturated steam curve. So after that it is shown with the rising trend, but before this it is also shown by the curve. So this constant pressure line is shown with the rising trend before the saturated liquid curve, and it remains horizontal between saturated liquid curve to the dry saturated steam curve, and beyond dry saturated steam curve, this pressure line moves in the upward direction. So this is the pressure line, constant pressure line shown. So here, from here also there will be another constant pressure line, another constant pressure line. From every point there will be constant pressure line. But this pressure line, when crosses this saturated liquid line, it becomes horizontal, and when it crosses dry saturated steam curve, it starts to move in the upward direction. So this is about the pressure curve. And after that we can see the lines which are starting from the top of this bell shape curve and joining to the base or x-axis. All these lines are representing dryness fraction, constant dryness fraction. So on this line, dryness fraction value is given here, x is equal to 0.1. As we move from this saturated liquid curve. So here this is 0.1, again it is here 0.2, then on this line it is 0.3, on this blue line this is 0.4, on this blue line this is 0.5, here 0.6 and 0.7. So gradually as we move along x-axis, so the dryness fraction also gets improved. Here this is 0.9, and lastly here it is x is equal to 1. So these lines, blue lines, starting from top of this bell curve to the bottom or up to the x-axis, are representing constant dryness fraction lines. So this is generally used to show our Rankine cycle. So in Rankine cycle we have seen here point A to B, this was heat addition, then B to C we have seen here, that was isentropic expansion, then C to D it was condensation process, C to D, and D to E there was a pump which was used to supply this condensate, T to E, and then E to again A, E to A was constant heat addition, that is sensible heat was added from point E to A. So this was used to represent Rankine cycle on TS diagram. So what this TS diagram gives us is horizontal line represent temperature, vertical lines represent constant entropy, then this curve represents saturated liquid curve, this curve represents dry saturated steam curve. So the curves in between saturated liquid to the dry saturated steam, various curves represent dryness fraction. As well, the horizontal lines between saturated liquid curve to the dry saturated steam curve are representing constant temperature as well as constant pressure. So these pressure lines are also horizontal between saturated liquid curve to the dry saturated steam curve. But before this saturated liquid curve, this curve is pressure curve is ascending up to this constant temperature, and then again it becomes horizontal. Beyond this, the dry saturated curve and dry saturated steam curve, again this pressure curve starts to rise in upward direction. So this is about the TS diagram, what are the things which it contains. So if we know the steam, say for example dry saturated steam at point say X, if it is expanded up to point say Y, so if it is expanded from X to Y, at point X dryness fraction of this steam is 1, whereas if it is expanded up to Y, the dryness fraction of steam starts to decrease. So here it is 0.9, again here it is 0.8, 0.9, we can see here 0.9 means at this point it is 0.9, then here it is 0.8, then here it is 0.7. So if steam is expanded from point X, between point X to Y, the dryness fraction of steam starts to decrease, and at point Y we can get dryness fraction as 0.7. So this is the use of this TS diagram to know the quality of steam at a particular point. Quality of steam can be determined with the help of this TS diagram also. Now coming to HS diagram, this HS diagram or enthalpy versus entropy diagram is known as Mollier chart. It has got a specific name as Mollier chart. What this Mollier chart contains and how to read this Mollier chart is very important. On y-axis enthalpy is given. So on y-axis this is 2300 enthalpy, 2400 kilojoules per kg of enthalpy. Specific enthalpy is given on y-axis, whereas on x-axis specific entropy 6.5, 7.0, 7.5, 8.0, 8.5 kilojoules per kg degree Kelvin is given on x-axis. Now if we see here, all horizontal lines on this Mollier chart, all horizontal lines on this Mollier chart are giving constant enthalpy. So if we select this 2800 line, so from left hand to the right hand, this line represents constant enthalpy up to this. So this all horizontal lines on this graph represent constant enthalpy lines, whereas on x-axis we take entropy. So all these vertical lines on this graph are representing constant entropy. Constant entropy lines are represented by vertical lines and horizontal lines represent constant enthalpy. So these are the two important lines that are shown on this Mollier chart. Now we'll see one curve. So here there is one curve. Brown curve is shown here. So this curve shown here is nothing but saturation line, means this represents a dry saturated curve which was represented in previous graph also. So this represents the dry saturated steam curve on which the dryness fraction is 1. So x value is equal to 1 on this curve. So the number of lines which are parallel to this curve, we can see here one line, many more lines are parallel, curves are parallel to this. So here this is one more line. So this line is parallel to this previous curve, and if we come here, so here this value is given here. So dryness fraction, constant dryness fraction curves are parallel to this saturation curve, approximately parallel, not exactly parallel, but these curves are having same profile of this saturation curve. Saturation curve means this is nothing but a dry saturated line. So as we move away from this saturation curve, so dryness fraction starts to decrease. X is equal to 0.95, 0.9, 0.85. All these lines are representing, curves are representing constant dryness fraction curve. So here it is 0.8, here it is 0.85. So this is 0.81, 0.82, 0.83. So these curves are representing the dryness fraction, constant dryness fraction curves. We can call these as constant dryness fraction curves. So these curves are representing constant dryness fraction. So this is about constant dryness fraction curve. Then after that, constant pressure curves are also given here. So constant pressure curves we can see here. So it is written here constant pressure curve. So the curve which is exactly below this constant pressure word, constant pressure in bar. So all these curves which are parallel to this, a dark curve, are representing constant pressure. So if we come at this, so here it is written as 0.2, means this curve represents 0.2 bar, this curve represents 0.3 bar, this curve represents 0.4 bar, 0.5 bar, then 0.75 bar, 1 bar, 1.5 bar, 2.0 bar, 2.5 bar, and so on as we move along this. So here we can find increasing values of pressure. So here it is 70 bar, so this curve is representing 70 bar, 100 bar. So here these values which are written here are for constant pressure curves. So these dark curves starting from y-axis and moving in the ascending direction represent constant pressure curves. Then similar to this constant pressure curve, we can find dotted lines. So here dotted curves are also represented, so which are similar to this constant pressure curves and follow the similar trend, starting from y-axis and increasing or ascending in the upward direction. So these dotted lines are representing specific volume. So these lines are known as specific volume lines. Here it is given 80 meter cube per kg. Then again 50, 30, 20, 10, 5, 2, 1. So these curves are representing specific volume in meter cube per kg. So dotted curves are representing specific volume in meter cube per kg. Now after that, coming to this portion after this, so below this saturation curve, so whatever is this region, this is wet steam region where we can find out dryness fraction value. So this region, yellow region, is known as a wet steam region. And after this curve, so above this curve is known as a superheated region. So above this curve we can find the steam which is superheated. In case of superheated region, the temperature of steam starts to increase. So in this superheated region, we can find yellow color lines. Here, see here, yellow color line is represented, and here 150 degrees Celsius is written. So this 150 degrees Celsius is temperature of superheated steam, and that remains constant here. So this yellow curve, which is represented above this saturation line, is representing temperature of superheated steam, and these lines are representing constant temperature of superheated steam. So this line is representing constant temperature. This is representing another constant temperature, say that is 100 degrees Celsius. 100 degrees Celsius, 150 degrees Celsius, 200 degrees Celsius. So here you can see 250, 300, 350 degrees Celsius. All these yellow color lines after the saturation curve are representing constant temperature of steam in superheated region. So these are the various lines which are represented on HS or enthalpy entropy diagram, or we call it as, it has got a specific name as, we call its specific name as Mollier chart. Okay, so now what is use of this Mollier chart? Mollier chart, if we study properly, we need not to use various formulas which generally we are going to follow. So which formula we are going to use? So how this will reduce our calculation work, that we will see. It is a very simple and useful tool to find out properties of steam. So for example, if we know pressure of steam, say pressure of steam is P is equal to 10 bar, and if it is a dry saturated steam means dryness fraction is 1. If steam has got a dryness fraction 1 and pressure as 10 bar, so we can find out all other properties of steam at 10 bar. So we can find the pressure line as 10 bar here. So this is constant pressure line 10 bar. So dryness fraction is 1 means this is the dryness fraction. If we have 0.9 dryness fraction here, 0.8 dryness fraction here, so dryness fraction is given as 1 means this point comes here. So at this point, corresponding to this point, if we find horizontal line, so somewhere here we will get, so enthalpy H value will be 2750 here, it may be 2780. The enthalpy value will get approximately as 2780 at this point. So directly we can find corresponding to this point enthalpy value, and corresponding to this point we can get here entropy value. So this is 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, 6.9. So it is 6.6 means 6.59. So 6.59, approximately 6.59 is the value of entropy. Directly we can find out enthalpy of steam at this point and then entropy of steam at this point. So entropy is 6.59, enthalpy is 72780. Let us take another example. So we will take pressure as 0.5 bar. Taking pressure P is equal to 0.5 bar and dryness fraction X is equal to, say we take it as 0.9, dryness fraction as 0.9, pressure is 0.5 bar, dryness fraction is 0.9. So 0.5 bar pressure line we select here. So this curve is 0.5 bar curve. So this curve is 0.5 bar curve. So now dryness fraction we will see here. Dryness fraction is given as 0.9. So here 0.9 dryness fraction. X is equal to 0.9. We move along with this curve. Means this is point here. So this point is selected. Pressure is 0.5 bar and dryness fraction is 0.9 bar. So at this point we can find out all other properties. For example, corresponding to this point we will get here enthalpy as 2450 means here 2410 kilojoules per kg is the enthalpy at this point. So corresponding to this point we can find out enthalpy, corresponding to this point we can find out entropy. This is 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, 6.9. So 6.9 is entropy at this point, say P. What is condition at point P? Pressure is 0.5 bar, dryness fraction is 0.9. So two things we obtained. Already dryness fraction was known. Now we can find out specific volume of steam. Specific volume of steam lies between these two dotted lines. So here this dotted line represents specific volume as 0.5 and this line represents specific volume as 0.2. So it is between 5.0 and 2.0. So it is in between 2 and 5 means it will be average of 2 and 5. 7 divided by 2 means it will be 3.5. So specific volume at this point P is 3.5 meter cube per kg. Specific volume is also known. So now let us consider the properties of steam that we want to find out. Or say for example we take one point here. Steam is taken at pressure say 3 bar. Steam at 3 bar is taken. Say this is point 1. So we can find out enthalpy, entropy at point 1. Again, if this steam is expanded from point 1 to 2, so this is point 2 and its expansion is stopped here. So steam is expanded isentropically from point 1 to 2. So initial condition of steam is 3 bar and dryness fraction, if we see here, it is given, say for example dryness fraction is given in the problem which is known to us, 0.9192. So 3 bar and 0.92 dryness fraction, P is equal to 3 bar and X is equal to 0.92. Dryness fraction is 0.92 at point 1. So this steam is expanded from point 1 to 2 up to the pressure of, we can say pressure is 0.2 bar. Pressure P2, from pressure P1 to pressure P2, 2 bar. So we can find out all properties at point 2 directly. We can find out enthalpy, we can find out entropy and dryness fraction also. Dryness fraction corresponding to this point we can read here as 0.81. So at point P2 dryness fraction x2 is equal to 0.8 and x1 is already given in the problem. Say in problem we know pressure and dryness fraction, and if he says that this steam having 3 bar pressure, 0.92 dryness fraction is expanded to pressure 2 bar, then find out its dryness fraction. Directly we can plot this on Mollier chart and we can find out 0.1. Just we can draw a vertical line if he says that it is expanded isentropically and at point 2 the pressure which is required pressure is 0.2 bar. 0.2 bar 0.2 bar is given, say from 3 bar to 0.2 bar. So at 0.2 bar we can find out directly dryness fraction. So this is the beauty of this Mollier chart, which helps us to find out all other properties. At least if we know two properties of steam at a particular condition, then rest of the properties of that steam can be obtained. So say for example, it is given that the steam is at say steam is at pressure of 5 bar or 1.5 bar. Say pressure of steam is P is equal to 1.5 bar and steam is superheated up to 100 degrees Celsius. Temperature of superheated steam is given 100 degrees Celsius. So we can find out this condition, and from that we can find out the enthalpy and entropy of steam. So pressure is 1.5 bar, so we have to find out this curve, pressure 1.5 bar. This curve is pressure of 1.5 bar, so we consider this as 150 degrees Celsius, temperature as 150 degrees Celsius. 1.5 bar line we will select, and at this point it intersects with the constant temperature line 150 degrees Celsius. Say this is point 1. So at point 1 we can find out, or say for example point M, say at point M we can find out properties of steam such as enthalpy. So corresponding to this point M we can find out enthalpy. This will be enthalpy as 2770, say. Then corresponding to this point, if we find out here, so here it will be 7.4 kilojoules per kg as the entropy. So at this point entropy can be obtained at point M. So vertical line represents constant entropy, so here approximately 7.4 is kilojoules per kg is the entropy, and corresponding to this point M, if we find a point here, so this point gives us enthalpy also. So if this steam is expanded isentropically up to some point, pressure is given, say up to 0.1 bar. So we stop here at point N because 0.1 bar is given here. So this pressure is 0.1 bar, so it is stopped here. So corresponding to this point N we can find out dryness fraction as 0.9. We can find out enthalpy, we can find out entropy. So at point N we can find out almost all properties such as enthalpy, entropy, dryness fraction, and specific volume. It is passing nearby this line or in between this dotted line and this dotted line. So specific volume on this first line is 20 and this is 10, means it is between 20 and 10, means it is 15 meter cube per kg. Specific volume at point N is 15 meter cube per kg, whereas enthalpy can be obtained, entropy can be obtained, dryness fraction is 0.9. So this is how this Mollier chart can be used to find out or to study the properties of steam. Now coming to next bit of this, taking use of this Mollier chart and TS diagram. Now we will come to this reheat cycle. What is this reheat cycle and what is the necessity of reheat cycle, we will be studying here in detail. So the efficiency of Rankine cycle can be increased by increasing pressure and temperature. So if we increase pressure of steam and temperature of steam, then efficiency of turbine can be increased. As the initial pressure increases, the expansion ratio also increases. So higher is the initial pressure, the expansion ratio will also increase, and the steam becomes quite wet at the end of expansion. So when we expand steam, just now we have seen in previous diagram itself, if we have a steam at higher pressure, say at point M, and if we start to expand steam from point M to N, so gradually steam becomes wet. So first it becomes dry saturated, and after that further expansion of steam makes that steam wet. So here also, as the steam is expanded from higher pressure and higher temperature, the expansion of steam makes the steam or steam becomes quite wet at the end of expansion. Therefore, the moisture in the steam causes erosion of turbine blades and increases the losses. So to protect the loss of turbine as well as energy losses, it is generally practiced steam is reheated when it becomes just wet. So in this Mollier chart we can see from point 1 steam is expanded up to point n. So when it becomes just wet, again this steam is taken out and it is reheated, and after reheating again it is expanded. So this practice is known as a reheat cycle. So in this reheat cycle, when from point m steam is expanded, as soon as steam becomes wet, steam is again reheated and again expanded, because the steam if becomes wet in this wet region, so this steam contains water particles in it, and because of water particles, presence of water particles in the steam, it causes erosion of turbine blades and that damages the turbine. So in order to avoid damage to the turbine as well as energy losses, steam is allowed to become just wet. As soon as steam becomes just wet, it is reheated and re-expanded. So now this reheat cycle is represented here. We'll study a block diagram first. Now we'll discuss about the block diagram. So in this block diagram of reheat cycle, so let us consider this point as a boiler. In this boiler, heat is supplied to this water and this water gets converted, and then this water gets converted into steam, dry saturated steam. Then dry saturated steam is passed into the superheater. So as this steam is passed into the superheater, steam becomes superheated steam at point 1. At point 1, steam which is superheated, so in this boiler itself, steam is heated at a constant pressure and it becomes a superheated steam at point 1. So as soon as it becomes superheated steam, this steam is allowed to expand from point 1 to 2. That means steam is passed into the turbine at point 1. The condition of steam at point 1 is it is superheated steam at pressure P1. So at pressure P1, say we call this as a pressure P1, steam enters into the turbine and it is expanded, and when it comes out of this turbine at point 2, steam becomes just wet. Again this steam which becomes wet is not expanded further. This steam is again passed into the reheater. So here the gases which are coming out of this boiler are passed into this reheater, and in this reheater the steam which is coming out from first stage turbine is passed and the quality of steam is improved. So pressure remains same. At constant pressure it is reheated. So pressure after expansion falls. So from P1 to P2, say pressure is lower. So at pressure P2 it is passed into the reheater and its quality is improved. So it was wet steam. Once again it becomes a superheated steam. So at point 3, steam comes out of this reheater. So when steam comes out of the reheater, again it becomes a superheated steam. So here from point 2 to 3, steam is reheated, and at point 3 again this steam is allowed to pass into second stage turbine 2. In stage 2, steam is expanded again from pressure P2, say this is pressure P2, to pressure P3. Steam is expanded from point 3 to 4 isentropically, and after this steam when comes out of second turbine is passed into the condenser, that is at point 4. Again this condensate is pumped into the boiler. Again this boiler produces steam and that steam is passed into the superheater. This cycle starts to repeat. So this is known as a reheat cycle. So here we can see HS diagram, that is enthalpy entropy diagram or Mollier chart. So this process is shown on Mollier chart. Again, similar to that, again we can say this is condensation process whatsoever it was. So that can be shown condensation process at constant pressure. So at constant pressure it is condensed, not along this line. So it is condensed along this line because the condenser pressure is known as a back pressure. It is condensed at the same pressure. So here this is part of this reheat cycle which is represented on HS diagram. So now what is the use or how it helps us to improve the efficiency of a cycle, that we will be discussing. So now we can see here the work is done in two stages. First, steam is expanded from point 1 to 2, and again steam is expanded from point 3 to 4. So here the work done is divided into two stages, whereas we can find that heat supplied is also in two stages. So first heat is supplied from, say for example, point 6 to 1. From point 6 to 1 heat is supplied. So at point 6 condition of this working substance is water. So enthalpy of water is given by HF at point 6. HF6 is the enthalpy of water entering into the boiler, whereas enthalpy of water coming out of this boiler is H1. H1 is nothing but enthalpy of superheated steam coming out of this boiler. Then H2 is the enthalpy of wet steam, and again H3 is enthalpy of superheated steam. So here what we can say, heat is added from point 6 to 1. So heat supplied we will find out. Heat supplied per kg. Heat supplied per kg of steam is equal to, so in two places we are going to supply heat between 6 to 1. So enthalpy at 1 minus enthalpy at 6. So at enthalpy at 6 means condition of working substance at point 6 is water, so we write HF6. And again heat is supplied between point 2 to 3. So heat supplied between point 2 to 3 means H3 minus H2. H3 minus H2. This total heat supplied per kg is given by this equation number 1. Now we want to find out work done per kg of steam. Work done per kg of steam. So here work is done at two stages between 1 to 2 and 3 to 4. So H1 minus of H2 is the work done by first stage turbine, plus work done by second stage turbine is H3 minus H4, whereas this is the work output in two stages. But here pump is also consuming work from 5 to 6. So this pump work is subtracted. So if we want to subtract pump work, so enthalpy of water at 6 point is given by HF6 minus enthalpy of water at 0.5 is HF5. So this gives us, equation number 2 gives us the net work produced. So this is the work produced by turbine first stage, and this is the work produced in second stage, and this is the work consumed by pump. So this is pump work is subtracted because turbines are power producing devices, whereas pump is power consuming device. So this is giving us the net amount of work done. Now after that we want to find out efficiency of this cycle. The efficiency of reheat cycle is equal to work done per kg of steam divided by heat supplied. So work done is given by H1 minus H2 plus of H3 minus H4 minus of HF6 minus of HF5. F represents condition of that working substance as a liquid, whole divided by heat supplied. Heat supplied is given by H1 minus HF6 plus of H3 minus H2. So if we want to find out this efficiency in percentage, then we have to multiply it by 100, then it will be efficiency in percentage. So for this lecture we stop here. In next lecture we will see a regenerative cycle and rest of the thing. Thank you.